Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Frederica. So, as you can see, the title of this video is The Coming 3 Days and 3 Nights of Darkness. This is a very serious word, prophetic word in teaching. So, I need you to pay attention to the things that I'm going to share because it's very serious. I started having dreams about the 3 days of darkness in 2018. So, it's a long time. From 2018. So, the first dream that I had concerning the 3 days and 3 nights of darkness, I was at my home and I remember speaking to my daughter and getting onto a step ladder and saying to my daughter, hurry up, hurry up. We need to like finish up putting the black bin liners over the windows. So I was in the dream, I was looking outside a window. Now, when you look outside of a window in the dreams, the meaning of looking outside a dream, the windows in a dream, represents a future coming event. So I've had many dreams also after that concerning the 3 days of darkness. I had another dream. It's just sometimes so difficult to remember all the prophetic words because I've released these prophetic words on my Facebook page. It's just hard to now remember all of it because it's almost like more than 6 years. So this 3 days and 3 nights of darkness, the reason why the Lord is going to bring this 3 days and 3 nights of darkness, it's connected to the judgment. It's a judgment. The 3 days and 3 nights of darkness is a judgment upon the earth, brothers and sisters. The wickedness, the evil, the killings, the murder, the blood is crying out, and God has had enough. And so a lot of prophetic people have had dreams, not just myself, but others, concerning the coming 3 days and 3 nights of darkness. You know, it's not easy to talk about these. I wish I could just always come up and, make videos about nice, exciting things. The end times is not pretty, brothers and sisters. There's a lot of things we need to be aware of and things that are coming upon the earth. So if you Google, there's a movie that came out a few years ago, and in the movie Bird Box, the movie is a depiction of the 3 days and 3 nights of darkness. And like I said, God is bringing this judgment upon the earth. Sorry, I had to lower my voice. God is bringing this judgment upon the earth. The wickedness, the evil, the murder, the killings, the rape, the child trafficking, the human trafficking, the child sacrifices, the witchcraft that's going on, all the evil and wicked, brothers and sisters, that's going on the earth. Sorry, when I'm wearing my headscarves, they're always like coming off. Anyway, especially this silk one. So, the 3 days and 3 nights of darkness is a judgment, is a plague upon the earth. It's a very serious judgment that we need to all take note of. I don't celebrate pagan Easter, pagan Christmas. I don't do those observance of those. I used to do Christmas. I used to do Easter. I don't do those days. My children and we don't do those days anymore. My extended family, they still do Christmas and all of that. Now that my parents have passed away, my siblings know that I don't do pagan Christmas and pagan Easter anymore. So one of the dreams that I had over the years, I'm trying to remember, of the 3 days of darkness was my hand. I couldn't see my hand. My hand was like the darkness that's coming, brothers and sisters. I'm going to share you the scriptures when I'm finished explaining. The darkness, brothers and sisters, that's coming upon the earth is a darkness that none of us have experienced before. So my daughter is also prophetic with her visions and dreams. And she has had many dreams of the 3 days of darkness. And when she had the dreams about the 3 days of darkness, in one of the dreams that she had, she drew me actually a picture. I think she had this dream in 2020. And my daughter's 16 now, so you can work it out. That was 6 years ago in 2020. So when my daughter had this dream in 2020, she drew me a picture of like the sun. And in the dream, she drew me a picture of the sun, and the sun was like the round sun, big, bright, shining. And then another picture, the sun, big, bright, shining. So she drew all these pictures, about like 5, 6 pictures of the sun. And then like when she got to the 4th picture of the sun was like was no more round. The sun was like getting smaller and smaller till it was like the sun was non-existent, brothers and sisters. So I've had so I've also had dreams over the years of, if you Google the northern lights, the auroras. And I remember I've seen this pinkish color auroras in my dreams. I've had dreams of this pinkish orange sky, which we know as the northern lights. You can Google the northern lights on YouTube, the northern lights aurora. And then I remember a couple of years ago, I have 3 kids, so I remember I was going to the mall with my youngest, who was a toddler then. And I walked past a store, and the store was like a store that sells balloons and like children's toys and balloons. And I walked past the store, and my son was like getting excited with the balloons. He wanted to go in, have a look at the balloons. The mom walks out of the store, and she has one of these big balloons, and it's like pink in color, and it has the name of her child, and it says Aurora. I wish I could show you the pictures. I have all these photos on my gallery. It said Aurora, and it said happy birthday, happy first birthday. It was the child's first birthday. So I see the word Aurora a lot, being a seer. I remember another time I was watching a random video of a cleaning channel that I watch, and the mom, she was recording the video, and she had just redone her kitchen, done renovations in her kitchen, and she was explaining how the name of the countertop that they were going to put on the kitchen, the name was Aurora. So I see the name Aurora a lot. So over the years, these are the various dreams that I've had concerning the 3 days of darkness. I remember I've even have pictures on my phone where I've seen the sky like a pinkish, orangish color. And I had a dream. So like, fast forward to 2000. So every year, round about Easter, pagan Easter time, when it's going to be, when people say Easter, and I observe the Passover. When I observe the Passover during Easter, because I don't do pagan Easter, I observe the Passover, I always make sure that I am aware and prepared and mindful of the 3 days of darkness. So, before the 3 days of darkness starts, we are going to see these beautiful colors. I want you to pay attention, brothers and sisters. We are going to see these beautiful colors that is known as the auroras, the northern lights. In my dream, they've predominantly been pinkish orangish, the auroras. But when you go and Google, most of the auroras that take place in Europe, Scandinavian countries, are predominantly green in color. And like I said, when my daughter had this dream in 2020, she had more than one dream concerning the 3 days of darkness. When the sun, she drew it full. By the fifth, sixth picture of the sun was like becoming smaller and smaller, like I said, until the last picture where the sun was like non-existent, as in disappeared. So before the Lord brings this judgment, because the 3 days of darkness, like I said, is a judgment, we will see these beautiful northern lights in the sky. I just want to get my Bible because I remember, it's a lot to remember over the years. I remember the scripture that came into my mind a few years ago. The scripture is found in Isaiah. I'm just looking at my notes. Isaiah 26:20. I just want to get my Bible. I have my Bible here. Sorry. I have my Bible here. I'm just looking down. This scripture came to my spirit a few years ago because every year I am aware that the 3 days of darkness can start anytime. When the people say it's going to be Good Friday, I don't celebrate Good Friday. So I'm always prepared when it's that weekend. When people say Good Friday until Easter Monday, I'm always vigilant and prepared and aware that the 3 days of darkness can start anytime. I'll explain to you why I say that. Isaiah, the scripture in Isaiah that I'm going to read you is Isaiah 26:20. So if you go to Isaiah 26:20, it says, I heard the scripture audibly in my spirit a few years ago. Come, my people, enter your chambers and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation is past. For behold, I, the Lord, come out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth will also disclose her blood and will no more cover her slain. So I heard that scripture audibly, like I said, a few years ago in my spirit. Then I did some research in the Bible. Where does the Bible mention 3 days of darkness? Sorry, don't want to be all over the place. I'm just looking at my Bible, looking at the scriptures. Let's go to Exodus. In the book of Exodus, we read about the plagues. Exodus chapter 20. Okay. Exodus chapter 20. Right. So when we read, Exodus 20, it's Exodus 10, sorry. Exodus 20 is the 10 Commandments. I should know this. Exodus 10. Exodus chapter 10, right? When we read Exodus chapter 10, before the children of Israel left to go to the promised land, they experienced the 10 days of darkness. You'll read about it, Exodus chapter 10, verse 21. The 9th plague was darkness. Then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand towards heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, darkness which may even be felt. One of the dreams I had, I can't remember, but one of the dreams I had concerning the 3 days of darkness, I couldn't even see my hand. Like I said, I felt the darkness. It's a darkness that none of us have experienced yet on the earth, and it's a darkness that we will feel it. As in, you feel the wickedness, you feel the evil. This is a very serious judgment and a plague that's coming upon the earth. That's why I want you to pay attention to the instructions I'm going to tell you. So, a darkness which may even be felt. So Moses stretched out his hand towards heaven, and there was thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. That's why we call it the 3 days of darkness. They did not see one another, nor did anyone rise from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. Okay.